This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the First 100 podcast. This is the podcast where we're going to be exploring the journey of entrepreneurs, business owners, agency leaders, and so many more people as they share with us the strategies, the challenges, and the triumphs that have led them to secure those first 100 customers, first 100 followers, first 100. Very excited today because we have with us a very special guest, Margarita Mangino. Hi, Margarita. How are you?
Hi, Daniela. How are you? Super excited to be here. Thank you.
We're excited to have you as well. For starters, for anybody that doesn't know who you are, what you do, what your company's about, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course, I have been working in marketing and sales for over 20 years, but in the last more than 10, I have been focusing mostly working with tech companies, especially in Latin America and the US. And since then, I have been working with entrepreneurs, small business companies, but mostly trying to understand how to help them expand their businesses from a marketing and sales perspective.
Super interesting. So, can you share with us the origins of MarketMinds? You know, what inspired you to do this project and how it all got started?
Of course, I started MarketMinds more than a year ago, and I was leaving my last job because the company was was in a merge process, and it made sense for me to leave. And it was the first time in a while that I wasn't changing jobs, like going from one place to the other in the dynamic and crazy world. And I had like this blank page ahead of me. And I said, okay, what do I want to do next? Right? It's like you don't always have the opportunity to really stop and think what you want to do. And I took it as an opportunity. I have the opportunity to keep looking for new job opportunities or that kind of things, or starting something from scratch for myself. And I decided that I wanted to go through that path. And mostly what inspired me was I have been working with entrepreneurs and founders in the last 10 years. And in the last years, I have been working, especially in the US, I saw something pretty interesting that it wasn't something common here in Latin America. And it was the concept of the fractional C-level roles. I saw it a lot in startups in the US. They hiring like CFOs, CTOs in fractional contracts. And I said, okay, why not? That might be something really interesting for companies over here too, because having the experience and the advice of experienced people and with a journey already lived, it's something that is very valuable. So what I saw over here have like this hypothesis that lots of founders in the beginning, entrepreneurs, they have to be generalists, right? They have to learn about everything. They have to learn about marketing, sales, even though mostly in the tech world that I came from in the last years, they are not usually from that world. They are mostly engineering. So they have to learn all about that. And at some point, they start bringing specialists. But usually, what they do is they hire, because of their budgets and resources they have marketing teams, but usually it's more like junior team. So, and they don't have like a strategy behind. They usually, what I saw is that I picture like the entrepreneur running, and thinking of marketing initiatives or driving. For me, it's like driving is always like a place where I have like these big ideas. and bringing those ideas to the team and the team executing, but without a plan and a strategy behind, and without measuring and understanding if those initiatives really work or not. So most of the time they implemented but didn't know if they work or not. So I started to pitch that to a few entrepreneurs that I already had in my network, and they were like, oh yes, that's happening to me. That's happening to me. And when I started to research a little bit about this fractional work for marketing, it was already there too. It wasn't something only on finance or technology. And the other thing that doing the research, I found out that this hypothesis that I had on my mind, as it always does, it had a name, and it's called the random acts of marketing syndrome. So something that it was something that I was picturing was really a reality. It was already identified as something that was happening. And I started to pitch that to a few companies, and I started right away to scale my agency. So uh, it was something interesting for me to look forward, and I have been doing in the last year and more than a year actually.
That's very interesting. So MarketMinds is actually quite new, right?
Exactly.
What would you say is like the biggest challenges that you feel like you have faced with being an entrepreneur and, having to launch your own business opposed to working for the man before?
Yes, at first, what is one of my biggest challenges is scaling. Right, it's something that I believe in every entrepreneurial journey. You have that. So when I started working with 3 4 companies, and I was like, okay, I don't have more time than this to invest in other companies. So I started to create a satellite of people around me. Also because you want to uh, deliver your best job, right? So I started to bring specialists, marketing specialists, because everybody that works on marketing knows that you have so many areas and specialization in marketing that it's hard to know all. So I have designers that work for me, marketing analysts that help me with some of the background job research and all that kind of stuff that we need to do. I have also specialists in ads. I have a specialist in EO. So you have, depending on the kind of project that I'm working, I bring people to work with me and try to scale this, because and also I partner with another CMO that is in Chile. He's a friend of mine. We worked together in one of the companies for 5 years, and now we are doing some of the projects together too. So that's mainly part of the challenging is trying to keep figuring out how to grow this and help a lot of entrepreneurs, right, and founders.
So where are you based? Where is your Market Minds based?
We are based in Latin America. I'm actually in Uruguay. My partner is in Chile, and but we are mostly working with Latin America companies expanding in the US. That's mostly our target market.
That's very good. And how are you? I think digital marketing agencies, digital marketing, content marketing has gotten so popular over the years. Um, what are you doing or what is Market Minds doing to stand out and differentiate themselves from other digital marketing agencies and just, in the marketing space in general?
We work a lot on our personal brand. We know that at this stage of the agency, we are the products actually. It's like people are trusting in you. And it's a lot about the trust relationship, because we are working on the strategic planning of the marketing teams. We are building teams. And also, it's a lot about to invest on a brand. It takes a while. So I have been investing in my personal brand for a long while. So something that we are working a lot is on that. Mostly, we are also something that we started doing, and we are going to be launching actually in November. Is we launch a survey for IT companies focusing on marketing and sales, because something that we saw that it's pretty common is that usually in the tech world, companies are pretty open to share information. So usually they have like these rounds around the year where they talk to each other between founders to understand what is uh, working for them, what is not, and it's pretty interesting, that dynamic. So we said, oh, what if we could actually do a survey and have all that information on a report? So we closed the survey actually on Friday. We had like almost 50 companies participating from Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, and some from the US that actually have people and operations here in Latam. And we are now uh, actually working around the data to launch the report in November. We believe that those kind of actions in the digital marketing world to actually add value to our potential clients, it's what is going to differentiate us from the other agencies.
Yeah, data is like really important nowadays too.
Of course.
So, Margarita, I also have a question. I know that you work a lot with Latin American companies, right? And then you've also said that you're expanding to the US. Do you think that there's a difference when you're working with US based or US centered companies, whereas when you're working with Latin American companies, or is it all blending together?
No, I believe that something that is pretty common here, especially in Uruguay, we are a small country. So companies, when they launch, they already are thinking on going global. It's like when we launch a company, it's like, okay, what is our market? And it's never the domestic market. It's like, okay, we're going to focus in Latin America, or are we going to focus in the US or in Europe, or we are already thinking globally. That make us really international, and it makes a lot of sense for us to really understand what is happening in those kind of countries. The difference with US based companies is they usually have like a domestic gigantic market. So the big question is if you're going to work locally or if you're going to go wide in different states, right? So, but what I think is that, and there's not a difference over there, is that usually when you think in the US, it's actually you are thinking on every state is like a country. You have to really understand how they work locally, what is makes sense on that kind of location. So that's the thing that I think that is similar to companies from here, from Latin America, or companies from the US. You actually need to understand the culture and how each state or city works, because they can be totally different.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious about, the clients that you're getting. What do you think are the biggest challenges that you see them face in the digital marketing space or like, patterns that you see that you need to help people with?
Usually, the main challenge is lead generation. It's something that we are seeing in the survey. Actually, I was like playing around the data this week, and mostly is about lead generation. And I think that the big challenge over there is trying to understand what are the main activities that can actually help you get there. So that is this thing that we are figuring out with each company individually, because we don't believe on a single recipe for lead generation. It's actually very custom depending on the type of product, the type of company that we're working with. So, but you have obviously some things that actually work, right? But you have to do it right. But some of the things changed in the last years, right? Usually I believe before COVID, doing some outbound initiatives were pretty effective, and now it's really hard to get through all the noise, right? And also before COVID or during COVID, inbound leads through the web page were pretty common because everyone was online trying to grow and do things. But because of the slowdown in the economy in the last couple years, things have been getting more difficult. And that is the thing that we are working really hard with our clients to understand where to focus and where to use the resources so they can deliver the best results, right?
Are your clients small business owners mostly, or are they kind of like mid-tier businesses to like higher up,
I have different kind of clients. Usually, we have some small businesses that they are trying to understand how to go international and expand their markets and diversify. Some of them are already in some international market, but they are trying to understand if other markets are an opportunity. On others, I in this year, for example, we have been working with a couple of companies with more of 30 years in the market, so they are like mid. Oh, and over there, the challenges are totally different. What they are trying to do is to professionalize usually and reinvent themselves, like transform. A digital transformation is it's mandatory, right? They are a company with a lot of legacy and they are trying to adjust for the future generations. So mostly it depends on, but we're working with different size of companies. That's kind of cool. And also, even though I started this for IT companies, I'm actually working with different markets right now. And that is that's the more rich part because you can bring some best practices from the tech world to more conservative companies. And vice versa, right? So it part of sharing that kind of the things that are working in other company and trying to adapt it to others, it's kind of really enriching.
That's very interesting. Yeah. So, the podcast is called First 100. So, like, a big question that I always have for my guests is how did you actually start to get clients when you started? I think that's like a huge, huge concern for any business owner, regardless of the industry, is how do I actually get people to purchase my service, purchase my product? How do I actually get like the ball rolling? How is that for you?
For me, it was starting with my close network. I have a lot of people that have been seeing me work. And because I have been already working on my personal brand, especially on LinkedIn, I had a lot of people on the loop of what have been doing in the last years. So I think that's really something really interesting, and it's something that I always advise for people that I work with, and people that I don't usually do. But the first thing that I did it was I made a list of people that I thought might be interested in something like this, and that I had a close relationship, so I could pitch it to understand if this was something that it might work for them or not. And actually, the first person that I reached out 2 weeks later was my first client. So it worked. And I'm still working with him until now. So that's something that I usually recommend. And those that are already close, they're not like friends and family. They are people that saw you work professionally, right? That you have built some kind of relationship and you have the trust and the I don't know, the kind of relationship that you can pitch something to them to understand, to have really good feedback, right? So that's how I started. But then I started to reach out to a lot of more people and started to go to a lot of events. Part of the challenge when you start like something like this is that you can't um, slow down. You have to always be out there, even though you're working on projects and you are on hand. It has a lot of keep building those relationships and keep doing things to get the next wave of projects. It's like every month you have to have a pipeline and work around it and try to bring new projects, especially if you want to grow. If you don't want to be a solopreneur, it's cool. If you want to do it, it's fine, but it wasn't the goal of Market Minds. Uh, Part of that is to put yourself out there. So something I started doing this. this actually second semester was okay. I'm going to do something more. I started recording videos on LinkedIn, also small short videos where I talk about I don't know, defining OKRs for your team, what it means to have a strategic planning session with your team outside the company. I don't know. I'm how to work on your LinkedIn brand. I'm actually working on a webinar that going to be recording this month to share with the community about that, about how to use LinkedIn as a personal brand, but also sales trampoline. So mostly is putting yourself out there, but reaching out to the people that already knows you is the best first step. From there, you will start getting referrals, and that's the second stage. It's like you share your community what you're doing, and usually, and if you keep insisting on the message, you will start having referrals. And on this third wave, I believe is started to do some cold outbound, right? Trying to reach to people that doesn't know you, but maybe you have someone in common and try to get and build new relationships. So that's mostly our strategy right now.
That's very good. I mean, you have it like very organized already, which I think is very commendable given that, we spoke about this earlier. Lead gen is like the hardest thing for
It is.
most companies. Yeah. And having sort of like everything planned out is very good. Margarita, I also have some questions for you. This is like it's called rapid fire. So I'm just gonna ask them and they're really quick. And
Okay.
answer the first thing that comes to mind, and they're all about marketing. So
Oh, I will try to do my best.
we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it like as quick as we can. Um, Ready. So, favorite marketing tool right now:
HubSpot,
SEO or paid ads?
SEO.
Best social media platform for growing a brand?
Depends on the brand, but I love LinkedIn.
Most underrated marketing strategy?
Referrals.
Most overrated marketing strategy?
Going to conference and events.
Email marketing, dead or alive?
Uh, I would say dead.
Key to writing high converting ad copy?
Uh, really understand what triggers your client and your customer. You should be really customer centric and understand what is the pain and the need they have.
Long form content or short form content?
Long,
How important are reviews for local SEO?
huge, very
What
important.
one tip to lower cost per click on paid ads?
I would say that having multiple campaigns. We are, for example, implementing one right now that has like 3 stages. Is like first is awareness and small, then retargeting, and then WhatsApp. It's like you have to complement.
Yeah, true. And last question. First thing to do when optimizing a website.
Checking that you're not losing the authority and all the keywords that are already ranking very good for you.
All right, you did great. You did. I think those were hard because I don't know what I would have said. I would have just been like, "Oh,
Oh my! I was nervous though.
you did great. You did great. You have a pass." Margarita, it's been great having you on the podcast today. But before I let you go, I wanted to give you a space to all of our viewers to welcome them to go ahead and check out MarketMinds. If you want to send them anywhere, if anybody wants to work with you, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me. These have been so much fun. I love podcasts because of that. They are super improvising, and for me, it's hard. That I'm a planner, so sometimes like, oh my god, I'm suffering before, but afterwards, I'm always enjoy the experience. Welcome to follow me on LinkedIn. I would say that's the best part for best way to connect. So if you want, my name is written over there. It's pretty easy. So looking forward to connect with you people soon. And thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you so much for being here. I will also be adding those links to our description for the people watching, and for those listening, go to the video so that you can click on those links to find MarketMinds and Margarita. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here today. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.